My EU buddies. I sit down with breakfast and here you are. Well, hi. And good morning. Hi, Sunny Meg. Good morning. Good evening. Good afternoon. And thank you very much for the resub and the gifted sub. I appreciate it very much. Morning. Why am I yelling? I'm so sorry. I can speak a little bit softer. Well, I'm glad you only slept 3 hours because now you're here. You're sweating into a puddle. Go enjoy your lurk. Thank you so much for the raid. I hope you had a wonderful stream and get some rest, okay? Have a good shower. Well, whether it's evening for you guys, or morning, or afternoon, how about we have a little bit of a story? Now, I haven't read over any of these stories, so I can give a little bit of a synopsis of each. And you guys pick? How does that sound, huh? Jack, so if you want to add that Bedge BTTV in, by all means, please. Dominus, welcome in. Nice to see you. All right, let's pull some of the stories up, shall we? We need a Bedge emote. Okay, this one is called He Won't Stop Staring. It's 6 minutes. There's not really a synopsis on this. Disappearances, psychological horror, suspense. I wish there was a synopsis. This one is 24 minutes. This one's 21 minutes. This one's called Sleep Singing and it's 12 minutes. Should we just like roll the dice and just like see what happens and go on an adventure together, and if it sucks, it sucks, and if it doesn't, it doesn't? Also, Dukes, welcome back. There's some pretty high rated ones. This one's called Sticks and Stones and it's 8.9. It's 19 minutes. Okay, what if I read like a short few sentences from each of them, and you guys tell me which one sounds more alluring, and I'll continue the story from those. Yeah? And Standard Tangerine, thank you so much for the blood. Welcome on in. And Tim, welcome back. I appreciate that so much. Let me bring them all up. Okay, this one's called Sticks and Stones. I'll read a little bit from this. But let's move on over to the reading screen. See which has the better hook. Yeah. Okay. Move you guys a little bit this way. Move this here. Also, is the music too loud or too quiet? You guys let me know. Also, Zechariah, thank you so much for the bit. Also, welcome on in, everyone. Nice to see you guys. All sounds good? Good. Okay. This is Sticks and Stones by William Rain. Sun Yan Cannon, thank you so much for the pledge. I appreciate it. My heart was already racing when I sat down in the passenger seat of the filthy and foul-smelling land yacht of an ancient Cadillac. The large man who was to be my chauffeur for the night barely spoke a word as we sped from one downtown city road to the next. But I was glad of that fact. What he had in store for me before the sun should rise again, I had no real way of knowing. But I was certain it would be nothing good. I used to love reading stories, but as much as I enjoyed...
Layna, it's surly for me, but I'm not missing the stream for the horror queen beckons to me, lol.
I gotta turn this off. Excuse me. Where was I? I used to love reading stories, but as much as I enjoyed indulging in the good ones, I couldn't resist picking apart those I didn't care for. I would rarely comment on the tales I enjoyed, but the ones that didn't do it for me, well, I didn't hold back. I made sure to point out every single little typo or error I could find while making sure the author knew how much they let me down as a reader. Okay, hasn't gripped me yet. This one is called He Won't Stop Staring. Today was a weird day. It was another long day at the office. Piles of paperwork stood a mile high on my desk. It had taken hours to even make a dent in it. I couldn't have been more relieved when the clock finally hit 5 o'clock. I hightailed it out of there and went on my way. I pulled into the driveway and I couldn't help but admire what stood before me. A gorgeous 2-story home layered with the highest quality brick. A 500 square foot red cedar deck out back, a luxurious pool below it, and a hot tub to boot. The perfectly symmetrical yard with lush green grass, a massive wine cellar in the basement. My wife and I had slaved away working multiple jobs each to save up for this place. Seeing the response to our offer had brought tears to our eyes. This was our dream home. As I sat in the driveway, someone pulled up right beside me. I turned my head to see what was going on. There was a man in the car. He couldn't have been more than 40. His dark hair was receding. He had thin eyes. He looked like he was tall, likely well over 6 feet, and pale. He was also creepily thin. He was staring at me. The discomfort I felt was instant. You know how there's some people you look at and they immediately give you the heebie-jeebies? That was this guy. I pulled forward a little. He did the same. I went a little further, and so did he. That didn't work. I decided I'd try to play it cool now. I turned to him smiling and waved. The blank expression on his face didn't flinch. I don't even think he blinked. I quickly turned my head away from him and started looking forward again. It didn't matter. I could still feel his gaze. I think you all know that paranoid feeling of being watched. Well, I was being watched, and that paranoid feeling had increased tenfold. Okay, that one is Won't Stop Staring. Do you want to keep trying? Do you want me to keep going with that one? Hi, Goose Caboose. But has her model face always looked like an upside down pentagram? I've never seen that before. That's like, Goose, welcome back for 11 months. Thank you so much. Alright, let's keep going with this one. Also, Satako, welcome back. Ayo, what kind of do? Okay, let's keep going. I quickly hit the lock button on my car just in case he tried something. Okay, maybe if I waited it out, he'd leave me alone. I kept my vision straight ahead and waited. 30 seconds passed. Then a minute. Then 2. 2 turned to 4. His car hadn't moved. He hadn't left. Sweat began to trickle down my brow. If he's messing with me, he's doing a really good job. I'm freaked the hell out. Is he trying to hurt me? This wasn't working. I pretended I had just gotten a phone call and picked it up. I mocked having conversation and I made exaggerated movements to make it seem like I'd forgotten all about him. I wanted him to believe I was on an important call, all the while nervously looking to my peripherals the entire time. He was still there. Okay, now what? I racked my brain for an answer. Maybe, just maybe, he was uncomfortable as I was. Maybe he had the same idea as me and was pretending to take a call now or something. Despite every instinct I had begging me not to, I turned my head and I looked back in his direction. He was still staring at me. It actually felt more like he was staring through me. Like he was peering right at my soul. I could feel the goosebumps across my body en masse. Those eyes of his just wouldn't look away. I didn't know what to do. Should I honk? Should I give him the finger? Should I threaten him? What if he's armed? Before I could do anything, I saw him reach for the door handle. Our eyes narrowed in on each other. He slowly opened the driver's side door about an inch. He unbuckled his seatbelt. Our eye contact did not break. He methodically began his exit from the vehicle. Fuck. He was going to come for me, I knew it. This has gone on far too long to be a joke, and he's going to try to hurt me. My breathing became more erratic. My body had begun trembling. I could feel sweat course down my body, my wet palms tightened around my keys. If he makes a move, I'll have to strike with these. Our eyes still hadn't broken contact. His door was wide open now. But instead of coming for me, he made a mad dash away from me, towards the door inside the garage that led into the house. Instinct completely took over, and before I knew what was happening, I had unlocked my door and beeline towards the door. He'd had a head start, but I was in better shape and started to catch up quickly. He beat me to the door and tried to slam it on me. I was able to get in there in the nick of time and stop it from completely closing. I don't know what this guy's intentions for me were, but they weren't good. We fought hard to win the battle for the door. He tried with all his might to keep me out, and I did the same to keep him from that happening. Suddenly, all the resistance I had felt was gone, and I fell forward. Toppling to the floor inside the house, I lifted my head. The man was gone. Where did he go? I quickly got up and slowly moved forward. I didn't see him anywhere. It was too late to turn back now. Luckily, I knew every inch of this house like the back of my hand, and there was only a few spots that he could be. I ventured further into the house and reached the edge of the kitchen, my eyes quickly surveying the surroundings, my head on a swivel. I saw the knife rack over by the sink. Fuck. There were 2 empty slots. Thankfully, it wasn't empty, though. I tiptoed my way over, each step perfectly soundless. I heard the creak of a door and quickly turned. The man rushed out at me from the pantry and swung his knives at me wildly. Who the fuck are you? I was able to dodge the first swing, and I nearly dodged the second, but it grazed me, creating what I imagine looked like a slanted line of blood right across my face. I bolted towards the living room, and he followed in pursuit. I looked around for anything I could use to protect myself. There was the fireplace, the fire burning. Perfect, I'll grab a fire poker. Where are they? A massive amount of force struck me in the back and I toppled over right in front of the fireplace. I quickly shifted from back to front to see my assailant. He swung down hard with his right and I narrowly avoided the blade and it lodged into the wooden floor. I wasn't so lucky the second time. The next blade plunged through my right hand and I screamed in agony. Tears immediately burst out of my eyes and my vision went blurry. I never felt such pain in my entire life, but I needed to try to remain calm. While my hand was now punctured with his knife, that also meant he was out of weapons. And that was when I was met with a blunt force to the side of my head. The water in my eyes had already made it difficult to see, and now things had gotten fuzzy. And now I was seeing stars. The man bent over me and struck me over and over. I knew somewhere in my face had been busted open because I felt the warm trickle of blood flow from my temple down past my cheek. I was fading. I couldn't take much more of this before I'd be out. Or worse, I pulled the only card I had left. I kicked him in the bowls. He collapsed and I yanked the knife out of my hand. I swung at him with everything I had only to miss. Somehow he was already back to his feet. I swung again, but he was able to break my grip of it and the knife went flying. I tackled him and he fell back into the brick surrounding the fireplace on the left. Pictures that had been mounted above us fell and glass shattered everywhere. I grabbed the biggest piece I could find and pierced his leg. He let out a guttural howl. Then with every ounce of energy I had left in my body, I forced his body right into the fire. His body struggled and contorted unnaturally as his head was burned to something beyond recognition. Finally, his motion ceased. I leaned back, exhausted. We made a hell of a mess. This certainly wouldn't be easy to explain. I gently grabbed one of the pictures that had fallen, brushing off the broken glass, and took a look at it. I'll give this guy credit for one thing. He has a beautiful family. The end. We were the murder all along. What did you guys think? Yeah, that wasn't so bad, I think. Yeah, I like short and sweet, I think. Let's see if we can find another one, yeah? You guys want another one? Do you guys want another story? Do you guys want it? I felt like that's what I was doing and asking it that way. I'm so sorry. Okay, this one's 24 minutes. 21 minutes? No. 12 minutes. There's sleep singing. That's 12 minutes. That's a good chat. That's a good chat. Crossroads. How long is Crossroads? 6 minutes. That one sounds boring. The Shadow? That's 6. Rating of 6. Sure, but stop that. Okay, I'm sorry. Don't knock on wood. How to summon your imaginary friend. Oh, sticks and stones, shards. How long is shards? 31-minute read? Oh my god, I'm so glad they put those things there. I'm going through all these kind of like stories and it like gives you the title and then how long it is to read. Stick to the road. Seems very poorly written. Knowledge of the highway system I need to keep. The branches of great claws to shake and almost looked like they were trying to grab me. Pulled myself down another impossible layer stretch of road. Shook my head back trying to make a sense of things. I was playing Jingle Bells in May. Put my truck back in drive, began traveling. Radio could hear voices coming through periodically, strange whispers as I couldn't catch. Oh, this one seems maybe good. Okay, so there's a few here. We called her Stitch Face. Ooh, that kind of sounds fun. Please tell me it's short. Okay, let's read this one. If it's bad, I'll just read another one. You ready? I go to sleep listening to you and get to work and you're still here. Oh, it's gonna be a good day. That was very kind of you. Thank you. I figured I had a little bit of energy still. I thought, you know what? I haven't done a reading stream in a really long time. Okay, yeah, let's read this one. This one is called We Called Her Stitch Face by Hugo Dark. You should read Creepypasta. That is literally what I'm doing right now. Like this very second. That's where I'm getting the stories from. Let me keep on some more music here. Okay. If the music is too loud, just let me know, okay? Oh, take it easy, Jacksaw. Bye-bye. Thank you, Jacksaw. Okay, this will be the last one. I just wanted to pop in for a little bit of reading. Stitch Face sat 3 desks in front of me in grade 3. We called her that because her upper lip had a hitch on the right side. An animal had bitten her. Or that's the story we had made up. It's not like she ever told us or said a word to anyone. As the weird kid, she took a lot of crap from everyone. In class, she would sit with eyes glued to her notebook, her expression pitifully dark. To be honest, I didn't enjoy school very much either. Warwick Elementary looked like a castle from the outside. Inside, it had the cheery atmosphere of a factory. It was a place where little boys and girls went to have the devil beaten out of them. Literally. Then again, it might not have been so bad if we hadn't been unlucky enough to end up in her class. If anyone deserved to be called a witch, it was Miss Pendleton. How someone who hated children as much as she did ended up teaching is something that I will never understand. You're nothing but a bunch of animals, she'd say. Animals that can't behave get put in cages, understand? It wasn't just an empty threat. There was a cage at the back of the classroom where we kept the class pet, a little grey rabbit we called Sleepy, since that was all he ever did. Miss Pendleton would tell us that Sleepy had been a boy once, a naughty boy who'd made her so mad that she locked him in that cage forever. And slowly that boy had forgotten how to walk, how to talk, and eventually he forgot that he had ever been a human being at all. Ada's old enough to know the difference between reality and fantasy, but coming from her poisonous lips, the threat of joining Sleepy in that cage felt real. Miss Pendleton wouldn't get away today with the things she did to us back then. See, she really thought of us as nothing more than... was it chattel? Chattel. Chattel. Never heard that fucking word. Beside her desk stood the cabinet where she kept her devices. Her tools, as she called them. Miss Pendleton had custom fashioned something called the straight holder. If she caught you leaning forward or to the side, she'd smack a ruler on your desk and say, "Straighten up." 2 times got you a pull on the ear. 3 times, and you had to spend the rest of the day strapped to an iron crossbar. Another one was called the head holder. Same idea, except the point was to keep you from turning your head to look out the window while she was talking. With Stitchface, her punishments always went even further. She didn't have parents. Alice was an orphan. Oh, is there ads? I don't mind waiting. What's up, Xerxes? Sure, I can link. Here you go. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome. Good morning. Personal properties. So she's treating them like something she owns. Oh, okay. Thank you. Parasite will come back. It will come back, I promise. Alright, welcome back. A kid without parents seemed categorically impossible to me. I couldn't understand it. At the end of the day, when all of us would wait for our parents to come pick us up, I tried to stick around to see who came for Alice. One time, I saw her walking hand in hand with a very tall man. The whole figure of him, thin and crooked, seemed to wobble in the air like a dancing shadow. The sight of him made my blood turn cold. His presence just felt wrong. When he disappeared under a streetlight, I figured it out. Alice wasn't holding hands with a man who looked like a shadow. The thing beside her was her shadow. Besides the doll she dragged along the pavement, Alice was walking home alone. I could only imagine what home was for her. The doll lived in Alice's desk, stuffed all the way at the back so you could only see its hands and feet dangling from the drawer. The funny thing about it was that the doll had a messed up lip too. Its scar was in the exact same place as Alice's. I wonder who got theirs first. The only time anyone stood up to Miss Pendleton was when she tried to take Alice's doll away. "Give it," she said. "A girl your age shouldn't be playing with dolls. It's time to grow up and leave such fiendish ways behind." Alice didn't say a word. She simply stared up at the teacher. Miss Pendleton swung the desk around and reached for the doll, only her hand froze in the air before it ever touched the drawer, like it had met an invisible wall. We all heard the crack. We all saw her fingers bend so far that they pressed themselves against the back of her hand. Alice just kept staring at her. Her expression hadn't changed. It happened on the last day of class before Christmas vacation. When we returned in January, Alice wasn't there. Her desk at the center of the room sat empty. Her books were gone. Her name had vanished from the banner with all of our names on it that ran along the wall. Where had she gone? Miss Pendleton seemed very pleased with herself. One day I worked up the courage to ask out loud in front of everyone what had happened to Alice. Miss Pendleton cackled in response. "You know what they say, don't you? Don't go chasing rabbits." Yeah, that was the other thing. Sleepy was gone too. His cage was empty. When Alice had been there, I'd always felt bad for her. When she was gone, I realized that she'd been more than just our whipping girl. Alice was the bulwark that held Miss Pendleton's evil in check. Without her, there was nothing standing between us and it. That's when the game started. A note landed on my desk. "Have you seen her?" Beneath a crude drawing of a dead-faced girl with a curled lip. The no column had 3 X's, and the yes column had 7 check marks. I marked my X, and then I gave it to the girl behind me. Alice wasn't really gone. At recess, my friend Jarvis told me that he'd seen her in the bathroom. Jenny said she'd seen Alice across the street. She looked cold, she told us, pretend shivering to show us what she meant. I guess she forgot to take her jacket. It was the middle of March, said Miss Pendleton, and Miss Pendleton was keeping us outside a lot for some reason. One morning, she brought a bucket full of little shovels and told us to start digging. The earth was frozen. Breaking through into the soil below was hard. After a day, we'd opened up a series of holes that were big enough to put a small body in. We carried the dirt up to our classroom and dumped it in a yellow tub. Supposedly, we were planting a vegetable garden. I don't remember seeing anything grow. More and more of us were seeing Alice. A kid said she was on the roof with a little gray rabbit in her arms. Enough, said Miss Pendleton. Since you pigs can't stop talking about the dead, maybe you should play the dead man game, The dead man game went like this. One of us would lie down in the middle of the class, and the rest of us would pile our winter jackets up on top of him. Then we'd walk around the mound in a circle, holding hands and singing a song made up of meaningless words that Miss Pendleton had written on the chalkboard. At some point, the dead man would arise, and then we'd let go of each other's hands and run away. Whoever got caught became the dead man for the next round. But there was a catch. The loser had to give the teacher something to hold on to until the curse was past. Our first dead man was a kid named Tommy. I knew him from the softball team. He gave Miss Pendleton his left mitten. I watched her put it in her drawer. The change in Tommy happened quickly. His eyes got darker, as if he wasn't getting any sleep. Miss Pendleton, I said, I think Tommy's sick. He needs to see the nurse. But Tommy wasn't sick. At recess, he told us that a man was coming to his room at night and dragging him out of bed. This man would put him in a sack and take him back to school, where Miss Pendleton would force him to spend the night digging more holes in the yard. It was so cold, he told us. Tommy stopped coming to class. I never saw him again. The same thing happened to Mildred when she became the dead man. I'm going to change this music. It's a really cool song though. I told her that I wouldn't play anymore. It was too dangerous. But when the time came to run away from the dead man, what choice did we have? You either ran or you got caught. I started hiding in the bathroom, standing on the toilet cover. I cried into my hands and prayed that Miss Pendleton wouldn't find me. And that's when I heard the knocks. Knock. 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 I waited a minute. And I unlocked the door and poked my head out of the stall. The room was empty. When I turned back around, Alice was standing on the water tank. She didn't look dead. Her dress wasn't dirty or eaten through by worms. I stumbled back into the door, but somehow it got locked again. Looking at Alice, I realized that even though I'd been obsessed with her for months, I'd never really seen her. Her hair was a bright shade of walnut. It looked a little matted, like nobody had taken the time to comb it for her. Her eyes were blue. There was something questioning about them. Hi, zombie. I raised my hand and put it over my left eye. That way I would only see the good side of her. It hurt to know that she had always been that pretty. Taking a paper out of her pocket, she put it up against the stall and started drawing on it. She drew 2 pictures, and then she put the paper in my hands. The first one showed the teacher's desk, and inside there was a little girl with lines crisscrossing through her body. Alice looked at me and made a scissor motion with her fingers. Your doll. She's tied up in the teacher's desk and you want me to cut her free? Alice nodded. The second drawing showed a boy holding a shovel, and beside him a little girl was laying down in a rut. The boy was covering her with dirt. Once the doll was free, I was supposed to bury her. At least that's what I understood. The fact that Alice had chosen me to do it made me happy. I went to hug her, but she wasn't there anymore. I made the plan with Jimmy, the kid who sat in the desk to my right. He was supposed to fall down in the hallway during lunch and pretend he'd broken his leg. "Miss Pendleton!" he'd scream. "I need help!" While she was distracted, I'd go into her drawer and cut the doll free. It would have worked if Jimmy wasn't such a shitty actor. In the time it took me to open the drawer and get my scissors out, Miss Pendleton had come back. "You little sneak. You wormy, squirmy little sneak. You like to play games behind the teacher's back? Well, I've got the perfect game for you." Miss Pendleton yanked my hand towards her like a hungry little alligator, and her nail clipper ate off pieces of my finger. Those bloody bits of skin and nail ended up in a little black sack. I tried to stay awake that night, but I couldn't. Dark hands came twisting through my bed sheets, pulling me down into a bog of sleep. I flew into the sack of the man who'd come to carry me away. His upper body was exposed, and he wore a pointy metal hood over his head. "I'm sorry, Alice." Those words went through my head as if it bounced off each stair and over the cobbles in the driveway. I don't know how he dragged me there so fast, but within seconds I was being dumped into the floor of the classroom. Tommy was there with Jenny and Mildred. Their eyes were glowing red. It looked like they'd been crying blood. When they saw me on the floor, their mouths stretched out into gaping smiles. Tongues coated with slime rolled down to their knees. They weren't my friends. They were demons. With shovels, they started scooping soil out of the yellow tub and dumping it over my face. I tried to move, but the hands coming out of the floor held me in place. Dirt filled me up to my mouth and my nostrils. I couldn't breathe. And all the while, I could hear her laughing at me. That evil woman laughing as I choked to death. I heard the window shatter, and it sounded like my own mind blasting apart. The hands restraining me crumbled to dirt. I sat up, and what I saw will never make sense to me. It was a tall man in the room, so tall that his head touched the ceiling. His body was made of pure, coagulated darkness, and in his hand, Miss Pendleton was being thrown against the walls like a wet doll. The whole room was splattered with her blood. She hadn't noticed that I'd snipped the ribbon of her binding when she caught me. The anger that one little cut set free was so commanding that it left my heart cold. Seeing Alice on the window still didn't change that. Though the crook in her lip made it hard to tell, I could see she was smiling. If anything, it made my heart a little colder. The end. I think that was more of like a fantastical story. I don't really know what the entire point of it was, but it was kind of okay. There wasn't like a twist or anything like that. What do you guys think? Bedtime stories? Yeah. You make my night shift guard terrifying sometimes. You're welcome. Hi, Vez. Hi. No worries. I was just going to tell one or two stories and go to bed. Yeah, it doesn't need to have a twist. Yeah, I don't think so. But it was, I think, really good visuals. I wanted to see if, like, before I go to bed, if I've got a few moments to read, if I just turn the stream on and read a story. Jon Cena with the choke throw. Oh my goodness. I also got new batteries for my ASMR mic. So if you guys want some ASMR stories, you just let me know. I think that's it. I think all the stories I found are generally pretty long. You guys okay with just those two stories and me putting you to bed? I'll try to look up some short stories that I can read for a little bit next time. No, no more stories. That's it. That's all you get. Thank you for coming by to just a few stories. I'll find some more short stories. One more, mommy. Oh my gosh. Yeah, to those of you that are just going to bed or waking up or just getting home, I hope you had a good day and I hope you have a good day. Yeah. Hi, Serpeto. No, absolutely. Um, you're very welcome, Dukes. 3 more hours. Yeah, you can have a glass of water. I'll get you some water. Yeah, I just wanted to try. It's literally only been like 45 minutes, but I wanted to see what it would be like to just read a few stories. And I kind of liked it, so maybe next time I'll do like an hour and a half of stories. Yeah. But in the meantime, let's take you over to... Oh, I think Game is playing some V Rising. Is that the right? Hang on. I spelled her name. I haven't been able to raid her in a billion years because I don't stream this late generally. Oh my god, she's a little slime. Alright, yeah. Just tell Gemma I said hi. Mwah.
Thanks for the cool stories, Layna.
You're very welcome. Everyone, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. Have a good sleep. And a good morning. A good rest of your day. And I'll see you soon. Good night, everyone.